Hello and welcome our channel, where we bring you the most fascinating glimpses of the past in stunning color. Today, we're going to explore the 1930s in the USA, a decade that was marked by the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, and the rise of Hollywood. But what was life like for ordinary Americans during this turbulent time? How did they cope with the economic hardships, the social changes, and the cultural innovations? Let's find out as we watch some real street scenes of vintage America, brilliantly colorized to bring the past to vibrant life. The 1930s began with the stock market crash of 1929, which triggered the worst economic downturn in history. Millions of people lost their jobs, their savings, and their homes. Many had to rely on soup kitchens, bread lines, and government relief programs to survive. Some even resorted to living in makeshift shantytowns, nicknamed Hoovervilles, after President Herbert Hoover, who was widely blamed for the crisis. But not everyone was affected by the Depression equally. Some regions, especially the rural South and the Midwest, suffered more than others. In these areas, farmers faced another calamity. The Dust Bowl, a series of droughts and dust storms ravaged the land, destroying crops and livestock, and forcing many families to migrate westward in search of better opportunities. Some of them found work in California, where the agricultural industry was booming, but others faced discrimination and hostility from the locals, who feared competition for jobs and resources. The 1930s also saw the emergence of new forms of entertainment and communication, which helped people escape from their troubles and connect with each other. Radio became the most popular medium, reaching millions of households across the country. People tuned in to listen to news, music, comedy, drama, and sports. Some of the most famous radio shows of the decade were The Shadow, The Lone Ranger, Amos on Andy, and War of the Worlds, which caused a mass panic when listeners mistook it for a real alien invasion. Before proceeding further, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more tech and informative videos. Another major source of entertainment was the movies. Hollywood produced some of the most iconic films of all time, such as King Kong, Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The 1930s also witnessed the transition from silent to sound films and the introduction of color and special effects. Movie theaters became the favorite hangouts for many Americans who enjoyed the glamour and excitement of the silver screen. The 1930s also gave birth to some of the most influential cultural movements and figures in American history. The Harlem Renaissance, for instance, was a flourishing of African-American art, literature, music, and politics. Centered in the New York neighborhood Harlem, some of the most prominent artists of this era were Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Louis Armstrong, and Duke Ellington. The Harlem Renaissance also inspired other ethnic and racial groups to express their identity and creativity, such as the Mexican muralists, the Jewish writers, and the Native American painters. Another important cultural phenomenon of the 1930s was the New Deal, a series of programs and policies enacted by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to combat the Depression and reform the economy. The New Deal created millions of jobs, built public works, regulated banks and businesses, and provided social security and welfare. The New Deal also supported the arts by funding projects that documented and celebrated American life. Some of the most famous works produced by the New Deal artists were the photographs of Dorothea Lange, the murals of Diego Rivera, and the folk songs of Woody Guthrie. The 1930s ended with the outbreak of World War II, which changed the course of history and the fate of millions of people. The war also transformed the American economy, society, and culture as the country mobilized for the global conflict. But before we dive into the 1940s, let's take one last look at the 1930s, a decade that was full of challenges and changes, but also of resilience and innovation. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more timeless captures. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Thank you for watching this video about 1930s USA, real street scenes of vintage America. I hope you enjoyed this glimpse into the past and learned something new about the history and culture of this fascinating era. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more vintage videos. You can also leave a comment below and share your thoughts or questions about the 1930s. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget to check out my other videos on this playlist where I explore different aspects of life in the 1930s, such as fashion, music, sports, and more. See you next time.